Hi everyone, I'm out on the bike today. Out on the bike. Okay, there's another thing about the fruit festival this year that's unusual. This is probably the first time people are talking about raw till 4, at least in a negative way, since the diet is kind of new. There's at least 2 speakers talking about it, and they're both pioneers. First one I'm going to discuss, more credible one maybe, Dr. Robert Lockhart. Yeah, let's roll. Burn off some of this irritation. Let's see. This is me irritated. The other person, well, I didn't see speak either. I saw an interview. Another like 30 minutes. You know the 30-minute guy. Mr. YouTube's Liferegenerator, Dan McDonald. Another person who claims to be 100% raw and likes to spread his elitist attitude. They say that about vegans. You know, we like to gloat that we're vegan, but there's a difference. Being vegan is real easy. These 2 guys are putting down standard veganism. They're putting down all but one form of veganism. Saying, oh, slippery slope. And that's, you're addicted to vegan diet. Is what they're basically saying. I should say, I basically agree with what they're saying, their main message. The optimum diet is 100% raw, fruit-based. But the problem I have here, they're saying this stuff in 2014 as if it's stuff that we don't know or don't believe or just don't understand yet, when in fact the other people who've been here for a while, like myself and Harley Freelee, the founders of Raw Till 4, they were saying the same exact thing 5 years ago. I was there. You can go back and watch. They've simply switched to a mostly raw diet because they realize that hardly anyone can stick to that diet of 100% raw. Not because of cooked food addiction, because of lack of variety. Lockhart himself said he's able to do the diet easy because he lives in a tropical place. I say the same thing.
My experience has been that cooked food, because it's denatured, demineralized.
That's not true.
And the cell walls are bursted open, and it turns...
What's wrong with that? That just means it's easier to digest and absorb. Again, I'm not pro-cooked food. I'm pro-calories. And you get more calories with cooked potatoes than, going back to McDonald's. Yeah, I gotta justify that statement. Yeah, let's see if I can do it. The potato calories, if you eat them correctly, they all go in and all get used. But the calories in a McHappy Meal or whatever, the digestion can't occur properly. You're not getting enough calories. That's one reason that the body stores fat. If you think that's crazy, we haven't gotten to Dan's sentence yet.
It's very mucus forming when those things are cooked like that. I mean, to fatten up the hogs, they feed the hogs cooked potatoes. But
I'm stunned all over again because this time I was looking at the interviewer. Farfanugan. Yeah, maybe I'll just use that word. That was really Farfanugan. First of all, that's stupid. Okay. Fattening up the hogs with potatoes? Why am I skinny? Why is Freelee eating 4 pounds? Maybe 3. Just to average out. Why is Freelee eating the most potatoes out of anyone in the raw food world? And she's the thinnest person. You can't get... That's insane. Why did he say that? And on top of that, he might have missed... Yeah, as soon as he says that, you forget everything before. If you go back and listen, what does that have to do with what he was talking about?
it's very mucus forming when those things are cooked like that. I mean, to fatten up the hogs, they feed the hogs cooked potatoes. But
here's Dr. Lockhart talking about his wife and using her as a study of one.
Towards the end of our marriage, and I think that's what led me to the schism of saying that if you want to compromise and just include some cooked food in your diet, you will eventually suffer consequences. Not that I won't suffer some consequences. Who knows? But all I know is that she has got some health problems now, which are fairly serious. Whereas I seem to be, and she's a lot younger than me, 6 years younger, and she led the same type of life that I did for about 30 years while we were married. And she, I won't go into the actual details, but that's she was on a raw till 4 virtual diet, and the consequences later in life are fairly serious,
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what really led me into the into being able to say with conviction from my own life what the consequences are of a raw till 4 versus 100% raw.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's a really big story. Just to let you guys know his past with
I don't think that's a really big story. I think it's a really big leap. It's because she was on one of these raw till 4 type diets. It's just a coincidence that this type of diet is becoming popular within his community now. And he's blaming, what is he blaming? The cooked food in her high raw diet. Well, one of the comments below, someone mentioned his wife is not even a vegetarian. And yeah, because it was Harley. People might just write that off as exaggerating. But no one has responded to that comment. Here's another one of his comments. I got 60 replies. Someone calling him dumb. But he just completely makes a fool out of Lockhart, who says cooked food slows you down. You can't keep up with Harley. How does it slow Harley down? Study of one. That's completely unscientific. He lived it with his partner. And saw the consequences of a cooked meal once a day. It's not the meat. Well, meat had nothing to do with it. And what else was she eating? Unbelievable. Well, He's probably a medical doctor, so I'm not surprised at all. Not a scientific person. Nope. Here's your scientific person. No formal education. Just an understanding of how things work. And a logical brain. Amazing. You can go through medical school and you can pass and not have the brain I've got, logic-based, able to think. Because that's what I see. I see a lot of doctors, but real doctors in real life. There's doctors telling people to go on the paleo diet. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're just repeating stuff they heard on TV. Is he saying everybody should move to a tropical place? Not everybody can do that. And so are they supposed to just keep trying to be 100% raw until they hit that slippery slope all the way back to McDonald's? Instead of eating a mostly raw vegan diet, which does not hurt you. Lockhart is talking as if the raw to 4 crowd are newbies. Dan actually all but called us newbies.
So a lot of times the raw till 4 people are actually kind of food drunks that aren't really aware of that yet.
And sure, there's a lot of them that are new. These are the people that just are entering recently and have discovered Freelee and decided to go with that diet. They happen to be on the right track because they'll find it out later anyway. And who am I to go up against some old guy who's had a lot of experience? Well, I'm getting old myself. He might look his age, but I don't. I'm 46 years old, and I've been a health enthusiast for 29 years. For 20 years, I have been eating a vegan diet, half raw, pretty similar to raw till 4. He's saying you're going to have problems. I have no medical problems. My health is getting better in middle age when almost everyone else's is getting worse. In theory, yeah, every little unhealthy thing adds up. But it's not going to add up to anything like what most people are doing. And what most people will do when they fall off 100% raw, go back to McDonald's. This is another big issue I have with the current talk in the raw food community. You know, us health promoters, years ago, we started out saying you're going to have problems if you don't eat your 5 fruits and 5 vegetables a day. And then that evolved to, well, if you eat too much animal products, you're going to have problems. And then it evolved to, if you're eating animal products, you're going to have problems. You got to go vegan. You got to go vegan, and then you get healthy. And now you got these people saying, cook vegan diet, you're going to have problems. You got to have 100% fruits and vegetables diet. This is getting out of hand. And Lockhart, here in this interview, is full of anecdotes. Here he is talking about people in the Philippines eating rice. And he's speaking in a completely unscientific manner.
Yeah. They say, oh, wow, you're eating only fruits. We've got beautiful fruits here, you know. Oh, yes, we can offer you this, we can offer you that. But I could never live like that. I can't give up rice. Oh, I'm addicted to it. I'm sorry, you know, I can't. Oh, I'd like to, you know.
And he was just talking about the opiates that are in rice. Again, I gave up rice for years. It's not physically addictive. I've given up everything. who acknowledges they're addicted to rice is a figure of speech. If someone actually said that, they're just saying it as a figure of speech. People get addicted to everything. I wouldn't want to give up melons or dates. I've been eating these things every chance I get for the last 20 years. If I didn't eat those, I don't know what I'd eat. It wouldn't be as good. But I don't call that addiction either.
And I'm addicted to going to the toilet at least 10 times a day.
Rice is not any more addictive than just about anything else, like riding a bike. If I don't ride a bike for 2 days, I miss it. That's addictive. But I was able to give up rice twice. For long periods of time. Then I brought back rice as just one of many things for variety to get calories in. If you don't have variety, you lose your taste for foods and you don't eat enough. That's why these guys are so skinny. And this is a good video to mention that for the last month I've been 100% raw. I try to do 1 or 2 months 100% raw, and then I go back to high raw for many months, because that's as much as I can do. I have found a balance, and even here in Southern California it's not 100%, can't do 100%. And here's what I'm eating today. I'm working on a 20-pound jackfruit. It's big, big, big. I've got some spinach here. Now I just noticed both these videos here I'm covering today, by coincidence, both interviewers are the same person. OK Raw, and I realized they're both about the same thing. And that's because he asked basically the same questions to both of these experts. I could barely get that word out.
If you're really into building up and wanting to put on a little bit of weight, you can add in a couple different kinds of fat every day, you know?
All right, cool.
I think that's a new idea to me. So not only have we fruitarians, 80-10-10ers, we're just learning new stuff all the time. Not only have we learned that carbs make you fat, and fat makes you thin, but fat builds muscle. Well, I have heard that from bodybuilders. Yeah, but I think that's
I think we should keep our minds open.
Cool. So, what are your thoughts on the raw till 4 diets?
Well, you know, I like to eat raw foods all day, every day, and because I just feel like they digest the best and they leave the least amount of residue. I feel like grains and processed and cooked carbohydrates are one of the more offending foods. As far as physiologically, almost even worse than meat. Of course, the vegan police are going to have a tirade, but that's a moral issue and not really a set. I think that the grains deteriorate you faster, and the meat is much more painful in the long run with the pus and the fermentation. So
I've been a heavy grain eater my whole 46 years, and I don't look like a 46-year-old. Grains are one of the most benign foods on the planet. That's why every culture eats a lot of grains. Maybe if we ate the type of grain diet China does, the United States wouldn't be being taken over by China. We can't even get enough fit people for our military. He didn't actually say grains are worse than meat. he said they're almost worse. Wow, that's a strange way of putting together a sentence. A thought. What kind of thought is that? They're almost worse. Well, he's basically saying they're not. Then yeah, slowing you down. Lockhart said the same thing, and that's what Harley noticed. And you can see why he noticed that. Slows you down. It's good food. Slow you down. Harley mentioned this. No one in the raw food community, not this guy, or the doctor, can physically keep up with Durianrider's speed. We all agree in this community that cooked food is not the optimum food. And it's a problem. That's why we're in the raw food community. Yeah. Remember? But it doesn't slow you down. The fastest runners on the planet eat cooked food. The fastest raw fooders eat cooked food. The fastest thinkers eat cooked food. I sound like one of the trolls. I sound like the people that argue against me. I've been doing that for 5 years. I sound just like them. But there's a difference. I was never saying all these crazy things. Like cooked food slows you down. It slows your digestion down, yeah. But that's not a problem. Unless you're running a marathon. Then you want the quick energy. Who's running marathons? Oh, just Harley Freelee. Okay, I found just one more crazy clip, then on to the doctor.
So there's another issue too that's raw till 4 is that the cooked foods from the night before are not fully digested. Then you start eating the fruits and the vegetables the next day that are raw, and then you're going to have fermentation, which burns itself into alcohol. So a lot of times the raw till 4 people are actually kind of food drunks that aren't really getting stuck on that as a permanent concept. It would be a hindrance to your evolution as a person who's interested in expanding through the diet.
He's not saying anything.
I eat 100% raw, and I recommend, I decided 100% raw 14 years ago, and it took me 12 and a half years to get there. But I knew that that's what I wanted because it made so much sense to me. It's something that
So doing a little math there, he's finally gotten to 100% a year and a half ago. And as I recall, yeah, late 2012. That's when he had those eggs.
When I was in New York, I was eating eggs because I couldn't, the energy was too much and I didn't have the fats.
Just after the Fruit Festival. That's simply the last time he fell off the wagon and binged on cooked food that we know about. And why did he binge? Why does he keep binging on cooked food?
I mean, I would rather eat raw fat than cooked carbohydrates.
So he says he's 100% raw now. Now, let's see. Those you can get raw oil. On the other hand, just because it's raw doesn't mean it's perfectly fine. It's still refined food. Oil is refined from the food. And if he says he's eating the actual foods, the chia and the hemp seed, well, I have news for you. Hemp seed, raw hemp seeds are illegal. Yes, it's one of those laws that doesn't make sense because they're associating hemp seeds with marijuana. And the idea is, if it's raw seed, you could grow your own marijuana, which I don't think is the case. See, I've done my research. So, no stores in the U.S. will be selling raw hemp seeds. So if he's eating hemp seeds, he's not 100% raw. And his 100% raw thing has already been debunked. In this last clip, he seems to actually finally acknowledge raw till 4, in a way.
Do you believe that cooked foods can be eaten in moderation healthfully?
Do I believe that cooked foods can be eaten in moderation healthily? Yes, it's a lot better to have a little bit of cooked food in your diet than to be eating a huge amount of animal fat or a huge amount of protein or whatever. And so a small amount, it's all a progression. But if you want the optimum...
Yes, we know. We have been saying that for years. We know what optimum is. Harley and Freelee are always saying fruit is the optimum food. You go for that first. And sure, those two may be eating a lot of cooked food. That's what it appears in their video. I tend to think those videos of those meals were just to show that you can just eat as much as you want and not get fat. But most raw till 4 people are not eating a huge amount of cooked food. I stay about 80% raw, maybe down to 70. While most people are at like 5% raw. Chinese people are 5% raw, and they're taking over the United States right now, slowly and surely, on their cooked rice diet. That is the end of this video. This went too long. This was too much to cover. So, if you haven't subscribed yet, you want to do that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't give it a thumbs up, but still subscribe. And you can friend me on Twitter. Leave your comments below. See you next video.